Today's video is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury attorney law firm, ready to fight for you. When dealing with the consequence of injury, sometimes it can feel like you have no options and that receiving proper compensation just isn't plausible. But Morgan & Morgan is here to fight for you. Did you know that proper representation from a lawyer is said to gain on average 3 times more compensation than fighting a case on your own? With 800 attorneys in 49 different states, covering a major range of specialties and expertise, Morgan & Morgan will fight to get you the compensation you deserve. And the best part, Morgan & Morgan operates using a no-win, no-fee basis to put your mind at ease while you focus on getting justice. If you're interested in what you hear, check out Morgan & Morgan for yourself by clicking the link in the description of this video, or using your phone, you can dial #LAW. That's pound 529, or visit www.forthepeople.com to get started on receiving the compensation you deserve.
I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. All of these deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
Morning, a new inside look at the raid last month on hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who's now the subject of a federal human trafficking investigation. His ex-girlfriend, Misa Hilton, with whom he shares a son, posting this video, edited and sped up, showing armored vehicles in the driveway of his Los Angeles estate and heavily armed agents from Homeland Security investigations moving in. Guns This morning, watch how federal agents took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs. His lawyer said Combs had come to New York 2 weeks earlier with the intention of turning himself in. He did not expect the agents to be waiting at his hotel last Monday night.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
At the center of the case, this 2016 video obtained by CNN that depicts Combs attacking his then-girlfriend, the singer Cassie, and then dragging her back toward a hotel room. Federal prosecutors said the video is powerful evidence of how dangerous the hip-hop mogul could be to women, part of why 2 different federal judges denied him bail.
I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy. I had to go into rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. So sorry. but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
Ever since Cat Williams' super viral appearance on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay in 2024, it's like the doors which once held Hollywood secrets were blown wide open, just as Cat claimed they would be. And for me, it all started with Diddy being first sued by his ex, Cassie Ventura, and ultimately the RICO case where Diddy was indicted on 3 separate counts. The criminal charges against Diddy are pretty light in comparison to some of the rumors going around, like how Diddy is basically the leader of a Hollywood blackmail ring and allegedly responsible for multiple unalivings, attempted unalivings, poisonings, and the list really just goes on.
And then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims. And in the lawsuit, he actually dropped pictures. So it wasn't just this, because you can always have a frivolous lawsuit. It can mean nothing. And what essentially his lawsuit suggests, allegedly, just for protection here, is that there's a blackmail ring in Hollywood. Diddy is a gangster. On top of Diddy sits and this was, for me, one of the wildest parts. He tells a story about one night where Diddy got mad at somebody and injured them in the stomach and the hip. He shows the pictures of the blood all around the bathroom because he was right there when the person got shot, and he allegedly went to his knees and tried to help the person. It was Diddy and his son who allegedly shot him. But they said that there's one person that you call when something like that happens, and that guy's name is Fahim something, and he will come clean it up. The LAPD will write a fake police report, and he shows how the news then reported that the shooting happened outside and then it got wiped under the rug. And what's interesting is that guy who you call, the security guy, was the same security person who was one of only 2 people there when Michael Jackson died. So it's now reopened, all the Michael Jackson stuff.
Which is why the whole case against him is just weird. It feels like they're trying him for easy charges for him to beat, almost like he's supposed to walk away from this thing clean. But the question is why? I don't know, and maybe we'll find out down the road, but in the meantime, in my research on Diddy's charges, it's like a whole nother world opened up involving magic, witchcraft, MK Ultra experiments, and all kinds of other taboo subjects regarding lots of moguls, celebrities, politicians, and elite members of secret societies. Maybe it just opened up to me because of how it affected me, finding out that all the rappers which I was raised on and grew up idolizing were all basically involved in satanic sex cults. People I never thought could have been involved in stuff like that. But knowing what I know now, it's kind of ruined my childhood to find out my idols were possibly committing homosexual acts in order to advance their careers and basically signing their souls away in blood for money and status. And these are the same people I thought had integrity and principles. But hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, learning about the cabals, the Illuminati, the Boule, and all these cryptic secret societies, I had to know more, so I began digging, and not long after I would come across basically the whole history and story behind Hollywood and its connection to politics and magic and mind control, and how it all ties in together while seemingly looking like they're all separate entities. The truth is far more dark and sinister, and I don't expect you to take my word for it, so I compile clips of other people who are invited into some of these circles and their experiences. If it was only one person coming forward indulging these secrets, I could understand why people would be able to write it off as crazy talk. But when you got witness after witness and high-ranking military officials speaking out against this satanic elitist cabal, you have to ask yourself, what do these people have to gain by making these things up? Naturally, because of mental pre-programming, humans don't want to believe that magic exists or that our own country would ever want to tap into evil spirits or call upon certain ancient deities. So I understand the hesitation, but as more and more come forward, it becomes more and more obvious that these things are a very real reality. And in my opinion, we can't battle what we can't understand. When you find out everything you were taught in school was a lie, It kind of makes you want to know what the true history is and what we're really up against. And that's what this documentary is. It's just a search for truth and answers. I don't claim to know anything special. I just gather the findings of different researchers and geniuses who did the legwork or had first-hand experiences dealing in these secret cabals and revealing the truths which have been strategically scrambled and attempted to be erased. So let's dive in and unveil and lay out for you how these societies work and what their sinister purpose is. So back in 2018, a police interrogation video popped up on YouTube of a man named Jonathan Oddie, who was making at the time what seemed like completely crazy claims, saying things about Diddy and Cassie, as well as rapper Rick Ross and DJ Khaled, and even went on to predict the attempted assassination on President Donald Trump, as well as other pretty wild claims. But as bizarre as it seemed at the time, a lot of things he said turned out to be spot on. And remember, this was 7 years ago. But enough of me telling you, let's just take a listen to what he had to say, and then we'll go on to some even more crazy clips that break down exactly how corrupt things are, how they came to be, as well as the reason behind their creation.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot.
Oh, hidden in plain sight.
It's hidden.
I think I see what you're saying.
Okay, how do I know this?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How do you know this?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
It's the black people. Okay. I'm from Africa, so I'm not a racist.
Okay.
I had settlement with Sean. I've had a great life. I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, but he's scared that I was going to expose him. And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts. It's these attorneys, which are Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years and worked for Hillary Rodman for 5. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. What they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with people and stuff, and I was like a sex slave. Okay, for them that's what I was. That's all. All right. I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. Now, how does this lead towards Donald Trump? Okay. The Mercedes family, Ben Mercedes, that works with Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos used to be Michael Jackson's attorney.
Yeah, out in Los Angeles.
Yeah. He drugged Michael and they OD'd him, okay? He didn't overdose. They OD'd him because they keep the royalties of the music. Michael alone made $860 million alone last year, okay, in 2017, which who keeps that royalty? The music companies. Who represents the media and entertainment in the United States? Most of them, Mercedes does. Kenny Mercedes, which is Greenman Mercedes shot out of New York. Okay. So what they've been doing is they've been promoting a hate agenda against Trump. So people hate him. Okay, because they know he is very alpha. Okay, very alpha in the sense that he likes money, he likes to make money, and he likes women, and they know they want to defame in certain ways with Stormy, with other people, because they want him out of the government. Okay. But it ain't happening because it's too smart for them. You understand what I'm saying?
You're trying to, right?
Okay, against Donald Trump, okay, because he used to belong to their side. You understand? He used to belong to that Illuminated group that I told you about, which is an elite group, okay, of individuals which run the whole country. All right?
All right.
Basically, what I did you tell him did you explain to him about the message?
No, please.
Elaborate. On Thursday,
Doral appearing in court today. Jonathan Odie facing several charges. Police say he started yelling about the president, then fired shots in the hotel lobby.
How much are you seeking? Because I don't think $20,000 is high enough.
The judge raised Jonathan Odie's bond to $1 million for each count of attempted murder on a police officer. Police say on Friday he opened fire inside President Donald Trump's luxury hotel.
Sir, I'm ordering that you stay away from the Trump National Doral Hotel.
Police say that's where Odie stole an American flag from, and that he went into the lobby yelling anti-Trump remarks before shooting the ceiling and chandeliers. Police say he then got into a gun battle with responding officers who shot him in the legs, sending him to the hospital.
There were more than, I believe, two uniformed officers, in addition to the unarmed security guard who threatened to kill as well.
The 42-year-old is also charged with aggravated assault, burglary, criminal mischief, grand theft, and creating a false fire alarm.
Basically, what I did that for is to transmit a statement to the American people and to Donald Trump that we're not accepting any more corruption and abuse from their system. Well, I've been trying. My settlement put me in a box. Basically, I couldn't talk because otherwise I'll be sued. So I let it be, but they've been following me, and they've had, Mark Garrick has had the FBI on me, has had other agencies looking at me and spying on me, okay, because they want to set me up as an extortionist, like if I was extorting Sean for money. It's wrong. Basically what happened is Diddy and Ross, which they're good buddies, okay, they're gay.
Who?
Both. Diddy and Ross. And Khaled. They're all gay, okay?
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They all gay?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Khaled is a Hamas supporter. Okay?
Who supporter?
Hamas.
Hamas. Yeah.
Sorry, I said the wrong.
No worries.
Hamas supporter, okay?
Right.
Basically, he's Arab, Palestinian, okay? The hip-hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. You need to inform the DEA. They move all the dope, okay, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by the inside the United States, okay? They move what's called high-grade powder, MDMA. They move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I've seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time. All right, he calls it G-Juice, but it's liquid cocaine.
Things, apparently drugs, as well as lots of baby oil, which honestly has been one of the most memorable elements of this whole case. So when Homeland Security searched Combs' homes in Miami and Los Angeles in March of last year, months before he was arrested, prosecutors noted that they found hundreds of bottles of baby oil and lubricant throughout the homes, essential elements, I suppose, for freak-offs, right?
And it was the same. It was orange pills, yellow pills, white pills, pink pills, black pills, blue pills, literally. Like, those were literally everything that was seized. And then even a crystallized substance as well, too. So inside the Gucci bag, there was some residue that was left over that tested positive for cocaine and ketamine. There was also a black straw in there, a cut-up straw, also tested positive for cocaine and ketamine. Inside the Lumify eye drops bottle, essentially, there was not eye drops in there. Instead, according to this, it was, according to the government and according to Special Agent Gannon, I should say, that this eye drop bottle contained MDMA and ketamine. I was thinking they were just regular eye drops at this point. Then lo and behold, MDMA and ketamine. Then we see a plastic container top with the label DBL wash that tested positive for cocaine. And then during this time period, I dropped.
You're gonna believe me. You have what's called the Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Okay. Yeah, Illuminati.
Okay.
They've made it in dance. Basically, what it means, illuminated.
Okay.
Okay. They do satanic ritual abuse, which is basically CIA mind programming techniques to their own family, kids, etc. in the group, and they bond that way. Okay, so they do sexual pedophilia, they do animal abuse, killing of animals, blood sacrifices, and everything in the Bohemian Grove. So if you see, there's a direct correlation of the presence of the United States being bonded between family ties. Okay,
gotcha.
All these family ties. While not go back to the same place, the royal family in England, okay? The family here of the Illuminati are descendants of the royal British family.
Video, you hear Adi talking about a place called Bohemian Grove, which we now know to be a private piece of land in the Redwoods in Northern California, where the world elite would all go together to take part in Luciferian, Satanic, ancient Babylonian, Canaanite magic rituals, and all other Luciferian purposes. It's interesting to learn that the Bohemian Grove actually began in 1872 with a group of journalists, artists, intellectuals, and performers in San Francisco who were looking for a private place completely away from the public. It was believed that by having this piece of land, the guests would be able to express themselves artistically, freely, and in turn, this would foster relationships between people who otherwise never would have met. The main person responsible for orchestrating what would be called the Bohemian Club was co-founder Henry Harry Edwards. Harry Edwards was a British-born Shakespearean actor and etymologist. His co-founders included journalist and poet Daniel O'Connell and writer Ambrose Pierce, who authored a book called The Devil's Dictionary. It's said in later years, Ambrose would throw shade on the club, calling it a sanctuary for rich clowns and saying that they traded their artistic spirit for social climbing. By the 1900s, the club would grow to include not just artists, but now businessmen, bankers, and politicians, which is insane when you actually realize what allegedly takes place during these gatherings. And it goes to show you just how interconnected everything truly is, from media and Hollywood to politics and the big money players, and what they're connected by. They had presidents, cabinet members, generals, and CEOs known to attend. Of the presidents known to have attended the Bohemian Grove Club meetings were George W. Bush, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, and even America's own CIA director was known to have attended, James Walsley. And nowadays, or at least in prior years, tech moguls and media executives like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Eric Schmidt are all alleged to have joined in on the gatherings. No matter how you spin it, that tells you how really infiltrated we are as a country here in America and how deep the corruption really runs. Especially when you find out their main purpose for meeting was to allegedly practice their satanic magic rituals and sex orgies, including both child and human sacrifice and abuse. Some say this is where a lot of the blackmail would take place, which is the main tool that has been used since the beginning of time to control and manipulate the people in powerful positions of government in the highest branches from all over the world, which is what makes things like the UN possible and some of the relationships of different world leaders. Then you come to find out the government actually funded a lot of the Hollywood blockbusters we've had over time, and it makes you realize how powerful Hollywood and show business is. It's almost magical how people become enamored with these Hollywood stars. And when you find out the name Hollywood itself was chosen because of the wood of a holly tree is what the ancient druids used as wands, which is what they would use to cast spells. And notice how the crew on the set of the movie is called a cast, and they would broadcast spells on a television. It just goes deeper and deeper. The circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. But then you gotta know what the end goal of this elite cabal who run the world is, and it always comes back to the New World Order. A totalitarian, one-world government, currency, religion, designed only to cater to the rich and wealthy, leaving the hard-working family man to endure struggles. In my research, I realized that blackmail seems to be a recurring theme when you start studying the power structure of the elite and powerful who run the world. It's also one of the steps on Adam Weissepp's list of how to gain control of the masses, which he was instructed to come up with way back in the 1700s by the heads of the Illuminati, better known as the House of Rothschilds. The 1760s, to be exact, is when the satanic plot took form of a one-world government, one-world religion, one-world currency, and a full world domination, often referred to as the New World Order. And yes, notice I said satanic plot, because this is, by every sense of the word, a very real satanic Luciferian plot. The word Illuminati, which means holders of the light, comes from the word Lucifer. And we all know the word Lucifer is another name for Satan, the devil. I'm not just referring to it as a satanic plot because of their evil intentions to ultimately gain full control of the masses, but I refer to it as a satanic plot because of the fact that the occult's elite members actually practice satanic rituals in which they call upon the devil and other ancient deities such as the Baphomet and Baal, as well as many others, to give them some sort of a spiritual advantage to help them in carrying out and fulfilling their purpose, which we now know is the goal of a New World Order, which really translates to full control of the masses. When Weishaupt was tapped by the Rothschild family to come up with a plan for the Illuminati, which they would finance, he outlined a few things that must be done in order to take control of the minds of the people. And on May 1st, 1776, he would complete this task. The date in itself being celebrated because of its ancient origins in which pagans were said to have worshipped the ancient deity Baal or Balatine. Before Weissaupt's plans could be complete, he knew he first had to plant the seeds of destruction in all existing governments and religions, and in order to do that, he would need to divide the masses, who Weishaupt would term as goyim, which translates to human cattle, into opposing camps in ever-increasing numbers on social, economic, and political issues, which we can clearly see in America between the Republicans and Democrats. He would state that both sides should be armed and issues should be created to cause them to fight so they would kill each other and ultimately weaken themselves over time, helping to lead to the destruction of national governments and religious institutions. Another prime feature in the plans of the Illuminati was that if and when their plan was discovered and exposed, they were to, quote, wipe all of the Jews off the face of the earth in order for them to divert suspicion from themselves. And for those who think that idea is too grandiose, I encourage you to just look at the Holocaust, in which Hitler was permitted to order the deaths of how many hundreds of thousands of Jews, an operation alleged to have been financed by the corrupt Warburg, Kennedy family, and Rothschild family. After draining the energy of the people by constantly causing war and infighting, Weishaupt would use the bait words of peace on earth to come up with the United Nations, which was another crucial step in Weishaupt's plans to enslave the masses by offering the United Nations the promise of a one-world government to stop all war on earth to the people. The UN, which was financed by, again, the Rothschilds, who actually recruited 2,000 paid followers, which included the most intelligent men in industry, finance, the sciences, education, and the field of arts and letters. Next, Weishaupt would establish lodges of the Grand Orient, using already established Masonic lodges to be their secret headquarters, which again was all funded by the infamous House of Rothschilds. Now, to get back to the list of plans Weishaupt came up with in order for the powers to be to take full control of the world, the first order of business for the Illuminati to be successful was to use bribery and blackmail on people who are already in high places and rank, as well as all other various levels of government, by tempting them with sex or promises of monetary gain. And once they fell for the temptations, they would then be held in bondage with the threat of public exposure, financial ruin, and in drastic cases, even the threat of death being held over their heads, so they could now use these persons for whatever nefarious purposes they had. It would probably blow your mind to know how many present top officials of the U.S. and Washington, D.C. are being controlled with this exact technique. And it would probably really blow your mind how many State Department, Pentagon, and federal agency employees were caught in homosexual acts and are now pawns for the powers that be. Number 2 on Weishaupt's list was to use colleges and institutions to recruit new members. Members of the Illuminati and faculties of colleges and universities were to select and cultivate students who had exceptional mental abilities and train them by selecting them for scholarships. These students were to be persuaded and convinced that they were men of special brains and talents and have the right to rule and control those that are less gifted, on the grounds that the general masses don't know what's best for them mentally or spiritually. Number 3 on the list, install specialists and experts behind the scenes to advise politicians and important people in business and government. The idea in this step was to enlist all influential people who were blackmailed and willing participants, as well as students who were specially educated and trained by the Illuminists, be used as agents and placed in the backgrounds of all governments by calling them specialists and experts, and using them to advise top officials and adopt policies that would serve the secret plans of the Illuminati in the long run. And last but not least, number 4 on the list, control of the press. Possibly the most vital, important step in Weishaupt's plan to obtain absolute control of the press, and using all media outlets to constantly promote the idea of a one-world government solution to the world's problems. As far as getting control of the media, it's safe to say that that mission has been accomplished, being that all of the mass communication media, which includes most of the Hollywood movie sets, all of the TV channels and national radio stations, and now all the major streaming platforms, plus the music labels, as well as newspapers, magazines, and press wire services, are all owned by an elite group of globalist bankers who make up the hierarchy of the Council of Foreign Relations, which is the name of the original Illuminati members in America. Although at this point, I'm sure after decades of being stationed here, the number of members has grown and spread out. The only thing I don't think Weishaupt could have prepared for was independent media outlets on the internet just like this channel, and that there would be some journalists who had integrity and cannot be fooled or bought by the satanic elitists like the Illuminati and other secret societies which are branches of the Illuminati. The Council of Foreign Relations, or CFR, was the name implemented by Weishaupt and his crew of evil geniuses to the Illuminati members in America, which was formed immediately following World War I. Similar to England's branch of the Illuminati, known as the British Institute of International Affairs, which is really the Royal Institute of International Affairs, as well as similar secret Illuminati organizations in Germany and France and all other nations operating under different names. And all these organizations would set up front organizations, all of which are spread out into every phase of the other nation's various affairs. But don't ever lose sight of the fact that at all times, these various organizations are operated and controlled by the international bankers, who in turn are always controlled by the Rothschild family House of Rothschilds. Also, I think it's important to state that the original members of the CFR were all foreigners who changed their names to sound more American. Now, for those of you who don't believe this is true, just look at the UN, United Nations. This is a creation of the Illuminati in their attempt to bring all of the different countries under one flag, one umbrella. And this wasn't the first attempt. The first time it was tried, Rothschild's people set up what was called the Congress in Vienna, following the Napoleonic Wars, where they introduced the idea of a League of Nations, but the Tsar of Russia caught on to what they were doing and completely blew it up. This enraged Nathan Rothschild so much, as head of the dynasty at the time, that he vowed that someday he or his people would destroy the Tsar and his whole family, which Rothschild's descendants did accomplish in 1917. I should also add that the House of Rothschilds and Illuminati were responsible for creating the Napoleonic Wars, with one branch of the Rothschilds financing Napoleon and the other branch of the Rothschilds financing Britain, Germany, and other nations in the Napoleonic Wars. The Rothschilds were not only responsible for funding and promoting that war, but they're responsible for promoting every war that has gone down, beginning with the French Revolution, which took place in 1789, lasting until 1799. Now, to cap all this off without getting too deep into all the reasons why the satanic plot needs to be brought out into the light, I just want to make it clear that the plan was never to outright take control of the masses with us knowing about it, which is why they put so much effort into creating organizations, infiltrating all the different forms of media, and raising up, training, and educating the selected individuals. The goal was to brainwash the masses and create an environment of tension, infighting, and war to wear the people down to the point where they're willing to accept the phony idea of world peace, where they implement something just like they did with the United Nations, and the people blindly accept it just like they did in 1945 following World War II. Before I end this video, I'm sure you're wondering how I know all this information to be true, and the answer is because despite the rich and powerful's ability to usually get people to do what they want, there is some good people out there who have constitution, morals, and integrity, who made sure to expose the evil and let the people know what was really going on. And one of those people was a high-degree Freemason of the Scottish Rite in Britain named John Robison. Robison was also a university professor of natural philosophy and secretary of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And this was the man Weishaupt tried to sell that he was trying to create a benevolent dictatorship in order to infiltrate the Masonic lodges in Britain. But Robison, who didn't buy it, kept it to himself, which caused Weishaupt to entrust Robison with the copy of his revised conspiracy for study and safekeeping. Years later, in 1798, Robison published a book called Proof of a Conspiracy to Destroy All Governments and Religions, but his writings were ignored. And I forgot to mention earlier that Weishaupt also chose to use lodges of the Grand Orient to be the headquarters of the Illuminati, using already established Masonic lodges as their cover. Just to avoid confusion, the Illuminati is technically not a branch of the Freemasons. Freemasonry already had been established starting in England in 1717, nearly 60 years before the Illuminati was formed by Weishaupt. Although the Illuminati was inspired by Freemasonry, and Weishaupt did use Freemasonry to recruit members into the Illuminati, he also attempted to and successfully infiltrated the Freemasons. The writers of history would like you to believe that when it was discovered that the Bavarian Illuminati had infiltrated the Masons in 1785, that they were kicked out. Other sources suggest that they never stopped blending their way in and hiding in secrecy. But to appease public outcry, they were outlawed and disbanded by the Bavarian government and Catholic Church, causing some of its members to be exiled and imprisoned. Also, at the time the Illuminati was created, Britain and France were the two greatest world powers, which is why Weishaupt ordered the Illuminati to instigate the colonial wars, which included our Revolutionary War, in order to weaken the British Empire. And he organized and scheduled for the French Revolution to start years later in 1789. But in a crazy twist of fate, in 1784, Weishaupt had a German writer named Zweig to put his plans into book form, along with the entire story of the Illuminati, so he could send a copy to France's Illuminati leader named Robespierre, who Weishaupt delegated to spark off the French Revolution. But as the courier was on his way to deliver his copy of the book to France, he was struck by lightning on his way to Paris from Frankfurt, Germany, and police discovered the documents on his body, and they took them to the proper authorities. The Bavarian government got hold of the documents and then ordered police to raid Weishaupt's newly established lodges of the Grand Orient, as well as the homes of his most trusted associates. Then, in 1786, they published all those details, and the English version of the publication is called The Original Writings of the Order and Sect of the Illuminati. They then sent copies to all the heads of state and church in Europe, but despite the warnings, the organization was so powerful that it was dropped and forgotten about. Following all that, Weishaupt then ordered his Illuminists to infiltrate all legitimate Masonic lodges and create their own secret societies within all secret societies, making sure they had influence in all areas everywhere. Only Masons who had proved they were internationalists and whose actions proved they had defected from God were initiated into the Illuminati. From there, they would use the illusion of philanthropy and humanitarianism to disguise their real motives.
Okay, they have children between themselves. Why? Because they have that issue, you understand? They want like superiority of the race. They see it that way. But it backfires on them because it makes them simple-minded. You understand? When you have sex with someone in your family, your kids are not gonna come out smart. You understand? They're gonna come out dumb. Alright? So Donald turned his back, but he's still trying to negotiate a peaceful way out, and they have an agenda to kill him.